Welcome to another episode of the Cory Cast. Today's guest is my friend and colleague, MariRae Dopke. MariRae's been a real estate agent since the late 2000s, and she's had quite an interesting lead up that got her into the real estate career. A lot of her background was focused more in broadcasting and television, and she even was a producer for shows like Pappyland. If you're from Syracuse, you know that show, and another show that gave people a inside look to houses that were available on the market. And this was all prior to her becoming a real estate agent, which is very interesting. It's a unique conversation and a unique way to get into the real estate career. And I think MariRae sets the bar high for local real estate agents. She is fantastic, and I can't say enough great things about her. I'm excited to show you why she is so fantastic. So, without further ado, here is my friend MariRae Dopke.
Hi, I'm MariRae Dopke at Hunt Real Estate ERA, and I will be entering my 17th year in real estate in 2022. And I love it. It's nice to have a profession where you get to meet new people all the time, and you get to play a very important role in something that is very important in their lives, buying a home or selling a home or doing both, as we do sometimes in our business. And that's what I like about it. And while you always do need to be committed to your clients and accessible to them, and you need to be accountable to your clients, it is nice to have the autonomy of a real estate business. I like that. And that's what made it a good business for me, because I was my own business owner many years ago.
Right, and I remember we had talked a while ago, but what was like the reason that you came to real estate? Like what was it for you?
It When I got into real estate in 2005, I had just ended a 20-year run as a private business owner. And I was in a really fun, exciting field. I came from owning a video production company. And it was Creative Media Solutions Incorporated was the last name. But we initially started out as Creative Broadcast Associates. And that first name really encompassed what we did. I had come to Syracuse in the very early 80s to work in television. I had been a news anchor at other stations and in Springfield, Mass, and I had also worked in Dayton, Ohio for a good amount of time.
That's
And
why you're so good on camera and on the mic. Like for those who are listening that aren't agents, MariRae also does like the hot news, right? And you have like this awesome like radio voice.
I love doing that. I started
Yeah.
as a DJ, but I did know a little bit about news, so that's why I got into that.
That's
But
cool.
bottom line, not to get too far off track, that is what brought me to Syracuse, and I enjoyed working in Syracuse TV for several years. I really shifted to an entertainment sort of program. In the early 80s, people, of course, remember Mary Hart and Lisa Gibbons, and also Matt Lauer. They all started on PM Magazine, which was kind of like the McDonald's of TV. It was a franchise in small, medium, and large markets through Westinghouse Broadcasting. So Westinghouse would sell a local station the license, and also give them an animation package and give them guidelines to follow. And they would have this local TV show, kind of like a Bridge Street, but it was on in the evenings and 7 o'clock at night, and 5 days a week, half hour each evening. And it would have its local hosts, and it would do local people-oriented mass appeal sort of feature stories, light stories. like an Entertainment Tonight, but on a local level.
Yeah.
And what you would do is you'd produce your stories, and then you would send them to the PM Magazine national office, and they would choose ones that had mass appeal all over the country, and they would share them. So we would share stories with Chicago, San Francisco, Terre Haute,
Mhm.
Indiana, let's say, and then sometimes we'd produce stories in Syracuse, and they would run ours. So it was really a neat show, and I was kind of down with covering so many negative things on the news. So when
Yeah.
that opportunity came up, I almost went to Orlando, Florida to do the same show. But
Really?
Syracuse was closer to home. Back in the big picture, maybe, yeah, I would have made more money in Orlando, but I wanted to be close to my family. I wanted to be able to get in a car and be back in Dayton in
Yeah.
8 hours, and I could do that from Syracuse. So I'm glad I came here now because this is like home to me.
Yeah.
I've been here 40 years. The time
Yeah.
just goes way fast. But that was a great show to work on. So I did that for a few years. But then the show, it was sold to another station. It was on at TV5, and that's where I met a very good coworker who became my partner in business and also my very best friend in life. And
Really?
her name is Marilyn Arnone, Dr. Marilyn Arnone, and she I went over to Channel 9 to start PM Magazine as the executive producer. I became the executive producer of the show since I wrote as well as being on camera talent. I did start as a producer and an on camera talent.
Wow.
But we went over to Channel 9, and unfortunately, the show it was an expensive show to produce. It had been on probably um, a couple of years at TV5. It had number one ratings. It had to have number one ratings to survive.
Yeah.
And
And this was
fortunately,
the show that talked about, like, all local stuff, right?
yeah, all local, but
Yep.
it was people, places, things, like if it would go to the Apple Festival, and
Yeah.
it would interview an interesting person. I remember meeting some very interesting people out in the Central New York area and a little bit outside of Central New York. That I would one of the characters that I met, who was just a lot of fun, and we ended up becoming friends. Was the owner of Bully Hill Winery, Walter S. Taylor. God bless his
Nice.
soul. But that's just an example of the
Yeah,
kind
it
of
gave you a
people
lot of,
I
like,
would
local
meet.
connections.
Right. I had a lot of great people connections, which was nice. So I enjoyed doing that very much. But it didn't, when it transferred to the new station, Channel 9, no real fault of theirs. It had been off the air for 3 months. Our hosts that we had before, we were able to get one of them back, but Marilyn, who ended up being my partner, she had just had a baby. And
Mm.
the timing wasn't quite right for her to come back. So all these different variables happened. And I
It
think
seems
too,
like in TV, like, that timing was such a crucial part, having the right time slot, the right, like, 3 months is too long, you gotta hit, like, a month sweet spot. It seems like there's a lot of time factors.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
that had a lot of relevance, and I don't think that when we switched to Channel 9, we didn't have quite they were in the basement of Shoppingtown Mall at the time. They
Oh,
weren't the leader
wow.
they weren't the flagship leader station that they are today, and, so I didn't even have a private office. We didn't have the same sort of facilities, and we didn't have the 2 hosts that came together, male, female host, to host a show every night. They really weren't friends. It
Ah,
wasn't that chemistry between them that
yeah,
you needed. So all these little things added up. The show was canceled about 10 months
right.
after they started it back up again. So I was just in the midst of trying to make a career shift, and lo and behold, Marilyn Arnone, who had been my co-host, I had been her boss, so to speak, for a very short period of time at Channel 5. She called me and she said, I've always respected you. We got along well together. I've started, and her husband was a radio executive at WNTQ, 93Q. He was the general manager, and unfortunately, he is no longer with us. He died quite a while ago, advertising and so on. George Plavakis was his name. and
Uh,
they had met and gotten married, and he was like coaching her because she had a wonderful background in a variety of things before she took the job in Syracuse, co-hosting PM Magazine when I became the executive producer of the show. So it turned out that he said, "Hey, Marilyn," he gave her some leads. She started this small video production company and advertising company, creating commercials and so on for like there used to be Sam Del Dodge, and then there was Donnie U.
oh
Chrysler
yeah.
Plymouth. Was Sam Del Dodge, Donnie U. Chrysler Plymouth, Raymore and Flanagan Furniture, Goldberg's Furniture,
So you guys
all
would do the commercials for them.
they became our clients. We did commercials for them, and he
Wow.
was the one that had helped her, knew her talents, and helped her make this entrance to creating this company, which was Creative Broadcast Associates, which really lasted for 20 years. Even though she had
Wow.
to leave at some point, he got sick several years after he got us together and passed away. But we remained partners for a while, and then I ended up buying her out. But later on, after she got her PhD from Syracuse University, she came back and bought into the company again. So that was really my entrance from being in TV
Yeah.
to going into the broadcast end of things in a commercial professional sort of way instead
Right.
of being hired, but to be a business owner. And I love that very much. We did TV commercials. We also were the first production company in the area to offer in infomercials. We were kind of the innovators in Syracuse for these infomercial TV programs. So wouldn't you know, we would do them for car dealers, and now you see them all the time. Obviously, we would do, and we would do if we needed to drum up a little business, we would present. We would go to maybe home services providers. It could be like a furniture store. It could be um, some kind of home remodeling company, could even be a real estate company. And we'd say, hey, we'd buy TV time on a local station like Channel 3 or Channel 9 or Channel 5. And then we would craft our own half-hour infomercial. And we'd give it a
Oh,
name like Homeowners Network. That was
yeah.
one of the ones that we did from time to time.
Right.
But
I remember you telling me about that one, the the
yeah,
the
yeah.
house one. Yep.
So anyway, it was a great business and fun to be in. But one of the infomercials that we ended up participating in, it was not our brainchild. It was before the internet was the way it is today, and that's what really made it successful, was called Television Home Finder's Guide. And TV Home Finder's Guide lasted on the air for a little bit over 8 years.
Wow.
It was on every week, every Sunday morning.
And
Usually,
what was that show about? Like, what would you guys do each episode?
it wasn't my brainchild. It was owned by a company called World Media, and a fellow that I believe still lives in Skaneateles, New York, Holland Gray,
Nice.
a really smart businessman. His mother had a real estate agency, and he remembered me from PM Magazine. He knew I was a producer, and he came to me and he said, "I've got this idea to do a real estate show on TV where we will offer it up to realtors. It'll be a paid program, but I would like you to just advise me a little bit on the production, but most of all, I would like you to be our host." So
That's amazing.
we had a number of top realtors, and some of them are still in business today.
I love
One of
that.
them, Gloria Barbano,
Yeah.
would come on the show. She was one of them. Keith Vincelette. I mean, the names will come to my mind. But anyway, these top realtors would pay top dollar to advertise their listings on TV Home Finder's Guide. And the thing
Wow.
that was kind of neat about it is, and camera, it wasn't like shooting with an iPhone. Cameras were very heavy and they
Yeah.
were very expensive. A good camera was 25 grand, because I know when I was in business, I had about $500,000 worth of equipment, which I
Oh
had
my
to
god.
buy, be
Because
on
it
the
was so
line for.
expensive.
Yeah, it
But
was.
imagine back then, no internet. You were the agent that could get your house on TV.
Right,
Like,
right.
that is just gotta go leaps and bounds for your
And
reputation.
I didn't do any selling. I was
Right.
strictly, this was Mr. Gregg's endeavor, but it lasted, and we had a partnership, so to speak, as far as being his production partner, and me being his host on TV every Sunday morning, except for Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Other
Wow.
than that, without fail, we were always on TV, and we always showed about 30 to 35 homes. Now they had their own videographer. It was a good
Wow.
business arrangement for me because
Yeah.
once we got going with it, I would just, and I looked forward to it. Every Wednesday morning, I would meet his crew. He had a videographer that was full time, and his own camera. And he had a woman that worked with him as a producer, full time. And I would meet them, and we'd all have coffee together. And then we'd be at a different. Maybe we were at Paul Fowler's latest. He was an iconic builder, latest model home, or maybe we'd
Right.
be at a GMJ custom home or something like that, or a Ryan home. And that would be where I would be. All right,
Ah.
introducing, kind of doing we called them wraps, all these different wraparound segments, coming in and out of the sections of the show.
Ah.
All
So it would
right.
be like Gloria Barbado would be like giving you the tour of her listing, right? And then it would
Actually,
cut
most
to
of the time, maybe she would, maybe because she was one of our regular realtors, she might come on the show and we might be at her model. But
that's
that's
so
where
cool.
I was only at one home for the whole
Ah,
show, but then their videographer would go out and tape all the other homes.
that's
And that's
cool.
what made it a great thing for me. Then I would go back to the studio and they would give me a script to voice over just the voiceover for
Yeah,
all of the other homes.
that's awesome.
And that's what made it possible for me to do it every week. Is it really
Yeah.
only took up about maybe 4 hours of my time, once a week. Then
Wow.
in the evenings, their videographer would come to our editing studio. I didn't have a big studio for like the TV stations do, with a
Mhm.
chroma key, but I had an offices and a really lovely editing suite. And their videographer would come and he would edit the show, with my editor. The two of them would do work on it together, and typically they'd work into the wee hours of the morning. They'd come at 6 o'clock at night. That was a great deal for me. They wanted a better rate, so I said, "Can you come at night and do it?" And they said, "Yes, we can." So they'd come and
Wow.
they edit at night, and that was a mainstay that my production company had, and that I enjoyed doing for over 8 years.
That's what a cool transition from doing
Yeah,
that show into real estate. Like, how
right. That gave me
after
the
doing that
bug.
show for 8 years, were you already, like, licensed by the end of it, or did the show end and then you're like, "Oh my god, I love that so much, I should go into
Mhm.
real estate?"
Yeah. Actually, I think the show came on about 1986, and I started, the business with Marilyn, late 84, 85, and so figure, it was on from 1986 to about 1994, I think. All right. So, I still maintained the business for another 6 years after that because I had a lot of clients,
Ah,
and I
gotcha.
did, and I had 4, 5 regular employees all the time. But I loved it, and it kind of I thought about real estate, and then there was another near the end of my time with the company, thinking that maybe I'm due for a transition. There was another vendor that came to me. Now, internet was heavy, but he remembered the show, and he wanted to do a real estate show. And he was a talent, Mike Otis, great guy. I don't think he lives here anymore, but I did it for him for probably close to a year. And that kind of gave me the
Cool.
bug. When I was
Yeah.
doing that show, I was not, nobody knew I was associated with it. He just paid my company, to help him with it. He was the on camera talent, but it made me think about it. And there came a time where I went through a life transition.
Yeah.
And I went through a divorce that I didn't anticipate. And and things were changing in the industry. And I thought, what is the one thing that I know a little bit about real estate? I mean, you don't do a show
Yeah.
like that for 8 years
And not know anything.
and not know anything. And
Right.
I thought, it's a pretty cool business. I might want to think about making a transition. And there were a couple things that I liked about it. I thought I can have autonomy just like a regular business owner.
Yep.
And I can, but and I'm responsible. The harder I work, the more money I'm probably going to make, and I
Right.
like that. And those two factors, and the fact that I already know a little bit about the business. And I talked to a few realtors and kind of did my own personal interviews with a few to kind of get a better idea. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go for this. So I was still kind of paring down my business a little bit. And I had a few big decisions to make too. At
Right.
that point, my lease was up. I had beautiful offices for my company, having been in business for almost 20 years,
Yeah.
downtown. And I had to make a decision and my rent was going up. My rent was going up to like $2,500 a month,
Oh.
and I looked at my expenses, and I looked at the fact that I had a young child at home that had just decided that she needed to go to Christian Brothers Academy. Put a lot of pressure on me.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
I thought, what am I going to do? And I decided I'm going to ease into this. So I didn't. It took me I kept my business. I decided not to sign that lease. I had a large home with a finished basement, and my editor, videographer was a great guy. He was a friend too, and he said, if you want to move, and things were becoming more and more virtual those days. Not
Yeah.
like they are now, but it wasn't
Right.
as important to have a great, grand office.
Yeah.
So I moved the business to my finished basement, and we
Nice.
moved all the editing equipment down there, and we probably had a good 1,200 square feet, to
That's
do the
awesome.
business. And I said goodbye to two other employees, little by little. I kind of pared things down, but
Yeah.
one employee was able to find a great job, and she was a good friend of mine with a vendor that
Oh,
did a lot of
nice.
video, and he wanted
Nice.
to hire her. So it worked out perfectly well, very well. And I did that for a year. And then I took the real estate course and let my main employee know what I was going to do, and that so he had a few months to find
Wow.
a job, and I made a
That's
total
awesome.
transition. And my former business partner at that time, she was a PhD working in the I school at Syracuse University for many years, and she was working on grant projects that needed videos. And she said,
Ah,
would you like to do these? They're not going to take a lot of time, but I could get you a contract. And I said, that'd be great, because I'm not going to I'm phasing out the business, but I'm going to need a
so you
little.
slowly stepped away from it.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
slowly, but once, actually, when I started in 2005, I was going to the real estate office 4 or 5 hours Monday through Friday every day,
Yeah.
because I gotta be there, I've gotta do this.
Yep.
That's it. And then I cut it off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
About, I mean, by 2006, I didn't do any video anymore, and I tried to sell the company, but it's hard to sell a company.
Yeah,
It
right.
really
For
is.
sure.
So I ended
What
up dissolving it and selling the equipment and that sort of thing.
when you had gotten into real estate versus now, how different is the market?
Well, it didn't seem that different until a few years ago
Yeah.
to me, to be honest. Didn't seem altogether that different. But I suppose the difference is um, people just didn't go out on their own
Yeah.
and do the for sale by owners.
Yeah, right.
They didn't
Right.
they didn't do that, and they also, they would, instead of searching for homes on their own first, on the internet and so
Right.
on, I think they would call a realtor, or
Yeah,
they would
right. In
sit
this day and
in the
age, people are
office.
definitely
Yeah,
more autonomous, especially the age of information.
absolutely. They would come into the office, and back when I first started, I think there were some realtors that, possibly didn't always. I mean, every once in a while, you'd have to pick up a key at an office,
Yeah.
it was a little bit different, but
Yeah.
not that different. Not that different.
Right, right. And so you had quit your job, you had sold that company, you said it was in 2007 or
Um,
2006?
to I it was I dissolved the company by 2005, 2006.
So a
I
couple
was
years as a realtor full time, and then all of a sudden the market crashed in 2008,
yes. Yeah,
2009.
yeah.
Were
I
you
was
like
let
about to go back to broadcasting?
No, absolutely. I did all right. I did
That's
okay.
awesome. That's
I
awesome.
I did all right. It didn't hurt me that much. The name helped me.
Ah,
People thought the one thing I really had to be careful about, is I had to be very honest and let people know that when they heard my name, they thought I'd been in real estate for years because
ah,
I was I was on TV for 8
right.
years.
Doing tours of like model homes.
Exactly. I'd open up every Sunday morning and it was like, welcome to the Central New York Television Home Finders Guide. Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. I'm MariRae Dopke. We're glad you're with us. And today we're at this beautiful Ryan home in Wallington Meadows, that
Wow.
sort of thing.
You freaking nailed it, by the way. You nailed it just now.
But it was fun. I loved that and I enjoyed that very much. But they thought I was a realtor all the way back.
Yeah.
So I started off green and they thought I had lots of experience. And I would have to segue and say, I have to be honest. Obviously, I have a lot of knowledge about real estate, but I've only been a licensed realtor for this amount of time because that was a business that I owned
Yeah.
doing a production.
Yeah,
I
right.
learned a lot about real estate, and I learned to really respect realtors and understand the need for realtors. And so I decided to get my license, and here I am. I'm a full-time agent now, and give me a shot. I really care about people, and I think we'll do fine.
Yeah.
So the first year, I was able to. I think I got Rookie of the Year from my company,
Nice.
which was good, which was Prudential First Properties, and I had the
And that's what I
feel.
was gonna ask. What brokerage did you first start
Mhm.
at?
Prudential First
Yeah.
Properties, and the funny thing is, I am still at in the same office that I was when I started because um, Peter Hunt Real Estate came into town, and one of the ways that he has always liked to grow his business, that's been very successful for him, is to acquire real estate companies.
Yeah.
And
Same with Howard Hanna. Howard Hanna does the same thing.
yeah, and it worked out very well for him.
It's awesome.
The Thielens, who own Prudential First Properties, decided
Yep.
that they were ready to sell, and he made them an offer they couldn't refuse, and so that office I was in became a Hunt Real Estate office.
That's pretty cool. And you've been there ever since.
I've been there ever since. I kind of make a joke with the different managers that have come and gone.
Yeah.
And I have been a manager. I managed for Hunt for a couple of years, but I like selling, and that was
Yeah.
fun. I'm happy for that opportunity, but I'm really better on the selling end because remember, I was always my own boss.
Yeah.
And even though I have to be accountable to my clients, I like the autonomy. Just like
Yeah.
you probably like the autonomy that real estate gives you just in
Right.
your lifestyle. We have to work hard
Yeah.
and sometimes we're working at home, but at least we're at home.
I
We can
know, right? And that's what I was
always.
gonna say. The nice thing about it is when we got into real estate, or when I got into real estate, we were always thinking of the pros of in the future if we wanted to have a kid. Here we are with Ashton saving so much money on childcare because I got little man Monday through Friday while Brittany's at work. I mean, that kind of autonomy, like you were saying, you don't really get that at all their jobs. So being able to be like Brittany works from home, somebody wants to see a house. Hey, let's is 1 o'clock good? Because that's when Ashton's taking his nap. The house is 2 minutes away. I'll zip over, show it, and be back before he even wakes up. Clients are
Well,
always
that's
like,
great.
"Oh yeah, awesome. That's great." I think people love to hear that when you're
Yeah.
like, "This is how I'm balancing. I'm not leaving him by himself to nap. I promise my wife is home. That'd be like a perfect time if I could go."
Gotcha. No,
Yeah.
that does make sense, and that's great that you can do that. I think you're an amazing agent.
Oh,
or
thanks.
I
Likewise.
wouldn't be doing this today
Yeah,
with you. But
likewise, MariRae.
working with you is just a pleasure.
Yeah, like
Really.
that's I when we first did the deal together, it was I think it was only like a year into the business. I was like, God, she is got like the it factor. Like I think of there's these agents in my head that when I always think of like who like kind of sets the standard, right? Like who you I feel like you should be acting more like Agent ABC, right? Like you, Martin Carpenter, Donna Jordan, like these are like all these like pristine level agents that I feel like have a great business model, and I think you guys are successful for a very good reason. Like you're probably one of the most genuine people that I know. So like getting
Thank you.
into real estate is just that's like the perfect business for you.
Yeah, thank you. It has been a good business, and I think if you're a people person, and I consider myself that, and you would like some of the perks that we get as far as the autonomy, and you're a self-starter. That's a number one thing, as
Yeah.
you know, because you have to be self-directed,
Yep.
because nobody else is going to do that for you. But it has been a nice business, but it is ever changing, that's for sure. What
Yeah.
I'm just seeing the changes more and more now, in the last few years. But I was lucky. I had enough of a entrance to it, having started in '05, and I was just doing the bare minimum. I told all my major clients that I wasn't doing video anymore in
Right.
2005. I was just any little thing I do, I had to do myself. I had to edit myself, which
Right.
I taught myself to do that on the sly,
That's cool.
on the sly.
Yeah.
I had the equipment in my basement, but I really kind of devoted myself to learning the industry, and it was different in the fact the one thing that was different, everybody came to the office back then. And
Right.
there were a good number. That office, where we're at now in the plaza, we're going to be moving from there very soon, in just a couple of months, which is exciting. But on Route 11 in Cicero, was just chock full of good agents, top agents that came to the office every day. So I knew that if I was there talking to them or
Yeah.
around them, that I
Yeah.
could ask some questions. I could get like a feel for what was going on, and that was very helpful. And I
Yeah.
also had the fear of failure, and I thought a lot of them knew, they had remembered the TV show and so on. And I thought, how many, I can't go very long without getting my name on the board.
Yeah, right.
I
Right,
would be
especially because
embarrassed.
you were the real estate TV person.
Right, right. I played a real estate agent on television. Remember that commercial? I play a doctor on TV. Well, I played a real estate agent on TV.
That's funny.
Kind of, even though I didn't say I
Right,
was one, people assumed that. Of course they did.
right, right. Wow, that's pretty crazy, and you're right, though, like, when I had first gotten in, I did the same thing. I treated it like it was like a Monday through Friday job, even though I was still, when I first did it, I had I had a day off during the week, and then the night that I closed the store, I would go in the morning, right? This is pre-Ashton. So, I was just trying to be around agents and, like, trying to just be around in the office to put me in a mindset because I know when I'm home, my mindset is completely different than when I'm at work. I'm like, I'm focusing on what's going in front of me. But then there's some days like Monday's a good example. I had Ashton and I got him for breakfast and I was like, oh, I gotta go do laundry. Then laundry, and I'm like, oh, I should probably go do the dishes too. The dishes are piling up. Then I do that. Then I'm like, I should probably get outside and make sure I cut the grass. Oh, now I gotta spend some time with Ashton. So it's like there's just so many things that I end up slipping from my mind. Where it gets to the end of the day and I'm like, what did I do today that's real estate related? Right? Like maybe I answered some emails and pushed some things out. But like a lot of times I'm like, I got to remind myself, what did I do today? You know?
Absolutely, we do it, and you really, it is a challenge to always, even when you do have that time in the business that we're in, to always be connecting with the people we know, the people we sold to before, our
Right.
center of our sphere of influence, as management calls it, and so on, because it is so important. So we really, and we so many real estate agents that aren't on a team. Sure, we might have a little support help. Some people might, I don't have as much support as I would like anymore, to be honest. I mean, we have a great office. I don't mean to come off that way, but
Right.
it would be nice to have somebody help with this, and this. So I thought, well, maybe down the road I might consider forming a small team because as an agent, I mean, you are your advertising person.
Yep.
You have to do that. You are your own salesperson, not just selling houses. You got to sell
So many
yourself.
hats. So many
There's
hats.
so many hats to wear. Exactly.
Yep.
So it's not an easy thing just
Right.
to always kind of think, gee, I don't want to hit a slump. What do I need to do to keep this going?
Right.
Without writing a check to Zillow or without
Yes.
paying a credit card bill to Zillow
Yep.
every month, right?
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
it might be silly, but I still pride the fact I have not written a check to Zillow yet on my
Good for
business.
you.
I'm
That's
like,
amazing.
I
That's
know, I
amazing.
know it's like I
Yeah. Good
know
for
it would be a lot of leads, but there's just a part of me that's just a little hesitant
you.
to write a
Mhm.
$400 check a week for a
Sure.
30% chance to show up in a zip
Yeah.
code. It just seems
Yeah.
so crazy to me.
Yeah. Well,
But
good for you. That
I
you're amazing and you're wonderful. You've got a great personality. You care about people. That's really
oh, thank
evident.
you.
Your listings look great, and so and Zillow really doesn't give too many listing leads anyway. They're all buyer
Right.
leads, which is
Right.
fine. We love buyers,
Yeah.
but in a lot of situations, you get the listing, you're going to find them in the new home.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's that.
Right. And do you like have kind of like a daily routine you do yourself? Like in the
Um,
morning, I check my CRM, do emails, then MLS. Like
mhm.
what's your routine look like?
I try, but I haven't been as good about that
Mm.
as I probably should. My routine is like a couple days a week I will go to the gym
Well,
because
there you go.
I'm trying to just stay not that I want to look a certain way, that has nothing to do with it, to just stay strong, you know.
Right.
'Cause I'm getting a little bit older, and I don't feel it. I don't feel it, but I'm having some birthdays here, it's happening better than the alternative, right? So
Yeah.
I go and I've got a great guy that I've been working with for like 4 years, and we just focus on being strong,
Yeah.
and 2 hours every Tuesday and every Thursday morning, I'm with him pumping iron pretty much, and
Nice.
he's entertaining me. He's
That's good.
Unfortunately, he let me find a house for him when he was ready to buy.
Nice. You would be if I were you, I'd be kind of pissed if he didn't try to buy from you after
Yeah.
4 years.
Yeah,
God.
yeah, no, but it is I think the one of the most important things, to be successful is to have some sort of routine, and when you get up in the morning to do those most important things.
Mm.
So, and because I no longer have any kids or anything like that at home, my kid is 33 years old, and she lives in New York City.
Yeah.
Um, I'm very accessible. I keep my phone on. I'm very attentive with my messages, that sort of thing.
Do
So
you do anything other than real estate and work out twice a week? Like, do you have
um,
a hobby outside of real estate?
you know, I'm a golfer,
Oh,
but
that's right.
yeah, I'm a
Yep.
golfer, but other than that, that's really that's really it. Golf
When
and
you
maybe
come
take
to
a
terms
weekend trip
of
here and there.
some people use the word in marketing to kind of cover a vague amount of different things, right? Like, is there one thing that you use in your marketing that you find the most successful? If it's uh, maybe postcards, flyers,
Mhm.
whatever that may be. Is there something you do that you swear by?
There I have farmed a few neighborhoods over the
Okay.
years, and, I think that sending a regular postcard, a lot of people send, or a lot of agents, not people, but agents will send cards out on their, recent, listings and sales and so on. That's something that I don't do, but I just send cards to neighborhoods with, market updates, tips on selling things, on maintenance, home maintenance, and things like that. And I do maybe 6 cards a year.
Right.
Just to try to keep them thinking about me, and that's really pretty much it. and try to call the center of influence every once in a while. So, I haven't made it as much of a priority as I probably should. But now I'm thinking the market has changed, and I've noticed that this year wasn't quite as strong with sales. It was fine. I had some good interactions, some good sales, but it wasn't quite as strong as I wanted it to be. So I think I am going to be looking more toward some farming opportunities.
Nice. Yeah, I always ask that
Or
to any
maybe
agent that I have.
more toward Google sort of stuff. Being
More like online ads.
yeah, because Google searches are important. People
Right.
do Google searches all the time. So that's what I may do.
Yeah, that's it's anytime I have an agent on, I always ask about their marketing because it's interesting because it's not this is going to seem kind of like I'm contradicting myself, but there's not a right way to market, but there is a wrong way. The wrong way is not ever marketing your business ever, right?
Mhm.
That's the wrong way.
Yes.
But there's many right ways that you can market your business that I don't think a lot of people realize. Like Donna Jordan, who is a friend and a mentor of mine, she nails it and knocks it out of the park with flyers and mailings. That's not my cup of tea. Mine is like calling and texting friends and messaging them on social media and staying in touch with my sphere and calling people and doing different reach outs. And you might have another agent like Ryan Millard from Coldwell Banker.
Mhm.
He does videos like
Yeah.
that is his
Yeah.
marketing.
Yeah.
And everybody, all four of those agents, all three of those agents do business differently and are very successful, which is just so shocking to me because it's like not many businesses have 12 different ways you can do things, or
Mhm.
really 100. I mean, think of how many different ways we can come off top of our head to market yourself. There's hundreds.
That's true. Very, very true. Yeah,
And it's
they're all
interesting.
great things.
Everybody's process is different.
Mhm. I think the way you send out, you use a lot of emails too to let
Mm,
people know when you've closed on a house,
yep.
and to send that to your sphere, I'm sure. And I've seen those on a number of occasions, and I think that's great. Now, if there was anybody that, to your credit, Cory, that I would be interested in hearing their marketing plan, it would be you because you're killing it. You're amazing.
All I
As a
do
new
is
dad,
social
and
media.
I know you're into, is it taekwondo and
Oh, Muay
wrestling,
Thai.
things
Yeah.
like that? Yeah.
Yeah, a good chunk of my sales
Oh,
come
okay.
from Tai Chi. So I spend
Mhm.
like when we come to like we were just having this conversation the other day at the office, and I don't spend very much money in marketing. All of my stuff is via social media. Like I might pay for a Facebook ad every once in a while, or I think my greatest expense was this year we did a kids MMA camp. So I had water bottles printed for all the kids. Right. I think that was the most expensive thing that I did. I just put Howard Hanna logo on it, my name, phone number, and my title, right? All the parents know that's what I do, but it's just like Mr. Cory gave us a water bottle. That's awesome. Like that's the most expensive thing, and that was directed towards my sphere of influence. Now I
Mhm.
might not have gotten anything immediately, but I mean, who knows? There might have been a parent who didn't know that's what I did, and
That's right.
a year down the road
Absolutely.
they have questions about something.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, and absolutely, they'll give you a call because your personality shines through.
Well, have you ever thought about like bringing your video back, like doing in the age of like because back then you had large cameras, it was kind of a pain and in the ass
Mhm.
to really like edit videos.
It
Now
was.
it's much easier. Now
It
you could be a one man show if you wanted.
it was. It's something that life just there are only so many hours in a day,
Yeah.
and I do feel remiss that I haven't taken what I had in video and really applied it today when everybody's doing video. Everybody's
Mm.
doing video but MariRae. So I've thought about that, and I kind of feel that I need someone to kind of collaborate with, that could be a bit of a, um, give me some incentives, or just, I could say, what do you think of this? I could come up with the plan I'm going to do. Okay, I'm going to start with this year. My goal is I'm going to start doing TV, and I'm going to do a segment, 24 segments, one every other month, or
Yeah.
no, one every other week rather, and do about 24 segments, and they're going to be on these topics. I think I just need to plan it out, and then have somebody, okay, these are the first two that I've done. How do they look? What do you think? How can I make it better?
Consider me that person. I would
Oh,
love to
well,
do
thank
that.
you. Isn't that nice? I
I would
appreciate
love to
it.
do that.
Yeah,
That's a good idea, and I think that's
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 awesome.
definitely up your wheelhouse, and especially like those videos like don't have to be long at all. Like you could do like a 2-minute video, like one that I'm gonna do. I just bought uh, a GoPro to shoot listing videos with,
Oh,
but I
wow.
wanted to kind of test it a little bit more, and I want to do a video on like the lockbox, just the
Mhm.
general information on
That's a
the
great
lockbox
idea.
that we use.
Yeah, because people are kind of intimidated by that, and it's easy to understand. But I like to tell them, don't, you know what? And all these years of real estate, um, I know there are exceptions, but I've never known of one incident where somebody got into a house that they didn't have an appointment for. You know,
Right.
and I suppose I've been lucky. And the other thing that I tell them is, that gives us a total record. I'm going to set it up, but I'm going to make sure I've set it up right in the beginning. And whenever somebody enters, we're going to know exactly when they came. And that's important. It's important to have that record
That's
of
good.
who's been there.
I already see the 3 minutes with MariRae Dopke is your new YouTube special.
Mhm. Well, thanks for your confidence. I appreciate that.
Dude, I think that'd be great. I just called you dude, but MariRae, I think that'd be
That's
really fun.
fine. That's okay.
That's totally up your wheelhouse, and you could even do like listing walkthroughs and stuff like that. Like I feel
Mhm,
like that is definitely your cup of tea. You could
mhm,
really relearn a lot of these programs too,
mhm.
mostly because now you don't have to worry about cutting a frame and then
That's
putting.
true. Yeah, it's totally different. Although when I was like kind of segueing out of it, we went digital probably before most people did, and
Interesting.
we got rid of the boxes, and we still needed that to feed the tapes. We were feeding videotape, but everything was going into a timeline in a non-linear system.
Oh,
Which
that's cool. It
Yeah,
seems like it was just so tedious to edit video,
yeah.
huh?
Well, and before that, things would get video would doing all these special effects and zooming things out and doing fancy transitions, not just a nice clean dissolve, but having several boxes of video or several montages going on, that kind of stuff. You really had to be digital, or you could only do so much. It would
Right,
degradate the video. It would get very fuzzy, and going down each generation that it would go
right,
down, in trying to do the effect. You really needed the digital to be able to do that right.
right. No, that's and nowadays you just upload a clip. You could snip, put an effect, fade out right here, and then there's
Right,
your video.
right.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think I've got the capability to do that right on, well, I know I do the iMovie. In fact, I haven't done too many, but I did a few iMovies for listings, when they wanted a video, a nice video,
Yeah, right,
put
right. No,
together.
no, that's like definitely saves you a large amount of time. And going
Mhm.
back to what you said earlier, is agents wear a lot of different hats because we're our marketing team, our listing, our staging expert, our
Yeah.
videographer. A lot of times, like we have a lot of different hats we're wearing throughout our
Yes.
our career.
Yes. A lot more than just showing houses, which,
Yes,
not to, make fun of anybody, but we do hear that once in a while. "Oh, I
yeah,
love to look at houses. It must be so much fun."
yeah, yeah, 100%. I know that's
Yeah.
I got into the business not showing houses is cool. Don't get me. I love seeing different houses and
Yeah, me
seeing
too.
how layouts are, but I wanted to be able to fill someone else's cup at the same time. Like I wanted to, like my friend Danny closed on a house last week, and it was one of like the most special moments in his life. And I get to say that I selfishly get to say that I helped Danny with his first purchase, it's like moments like that I didn't get in retail, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and that's really special,
Right.
and for you to be able to do that for friends, that's great. It
Where
really
do
is.
you ever see yourself retiring, MariRae? Because I think there is an idea that agents never retire.
Yeah, I that's a great thing to bring up, and I don't. And in
Yeah.
fact, I have a lot of friends that have retired, that from different careers and office sort of jobs. And no, I don't. Right now, I don't see that whatsoever. One, I think I might put together a team if I could meet a couple of people that I might work well with, maybe people that I could mentor a little bit, and then they would help, and that would give me a little time to maybe take off here and there.
Yeah.
But no, I don't. And that was one of the things that also made me think that this would be another high point, of being a real estate agent, was the fact that I could do this for a long time.
Yeah.
Because working, when you do get older, working keeps you young, and because you're engaged with people.
Yeah.
And I'm not one. I do not want to sit home and I had a doctor tell me not too long ago that I said, I hope you're not going to be retiring, because I had had another doctor retire. And she said to me, she goes, now, what am I going to do? She goes, am I going to sit home and watch TV? And I said, good. I said, so you're not retiring soon? She goes, absolutely not. And
That's
I feel the
funny.
same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what better profession than real estate to be able to work as long as my mind is still working great, I'm going to be there selling
Well,
homes.
there's also like a difference between, there is it it sounds like I might be kind of throwing a blanket statement out there, but there's a lot of people that work a Monday through Friday job that just hate their job and get their paycheck week after week and leave. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think the retirement is the goal. So they're like, finally, I don't have to deal with that job
Mhm.
anymore. I can just
Right.
relax. Where
Absolutely.
when you're in a job that you really like, it's kind of hard being able to say, I think I'm going to step away and retire and relax, because man, there's a lot of good perks. There's a lot of good things with real estate. There's a lot of good things that just kind of keep you in there, you know?
Absolutely, 100%. I agree. Lots of great things, and yeah, you got to have a reason to get up in the morning, and I enjoy it immensely, and just like all the different facets,
Yeah.
of it. And I don't mind working on the weekend. I think it was our CEO at the GSAR, Lenore Fetko, that said this, but it's so true, and I've kind of adopted this as part of my little pitch when I say why I like real estate or what I'll do. And real estate it's a lifestyle. It's not a 9 to 5 job, as you know. It is a lifestyle. We
Yeah.
work the weekends. We're used to working the weekends. We're used to sometimes in selling season, the warmer season, that we're used to working 7 days a week a lot of the time, but we're able to gauge our time, give ourselves respite, do
Yep.
the things we want to do, and we get used to the lifestyle, and we don't mind that.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. What's the best piece of advice you would give a new agent?
Um, I think the best piece of advice is make sure that if you make sure that you have a mentor, um, and that you, after you get your license, if you're still working another job, which is very likely that you may, have a mentor and be involved in real estate at least so many hours a week. And if you can't commit to maybe spending, I don't know how many hours that's going to be for somebody, but at least let's say maybe 15 initially. If you can't commit uh, to 15, maybe even 20 hours a week, studying, watching videos, making calls, letting people that that you're in real estate, mailing out the recipe calendars with your name on it, sending
Yep.
them something, reaching out and touching. If you can't do that, probably 20, 25 hours a week, You got to work the extra time. That's what will, and being involved with other agents, going to your meetings, or and today with Zoom, it's easier than ever to
Yeah.
be able to do that. Just about everybody's having a Zoom meeting. Looking at different training materials that your company offers. All of the, it's, I think a larger company is maybe good for that. Although there are a lot of good smaller companies too.
Yep.
But get involved, make the commitment. You've got to make the commitment. And hopefully, if you've got a few good friends that are going to get you started with your first listings or your first sales, that's great. But you've got to
Yep.
make the commitment. You got to dig
Yeah.
in, jump in, make the commitment, and still work another job, part-time or full-time, but you got to put in the time or it won't work for you. If you really put in the time, you want to be able to make a transition, as
Yep.
you probably would be able to tell them, and be successful.
Yeah, the transition is the hardest part, I think, for a lot of people, especially for me, because I was, working 40, 50 hours a week as an assistant store manager, and then eventually cutting down to, I think when I first stepped down, I just went to 4 days a week as an associate, and then eventually 3, 2, 1. But I think
Mhm.
everybody has kind of their own pace that they want to pull from that other job, because it's definitely eat what you kill. If you just jump into real estate, no other job, then you could be looking at least 2 months without getting paid. That's like best
Right,
case scenario too,
right, exactly. I think
in
a great motivator though is that
the
um,
fear of loss,
oh,
right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. That's a huge motivating factor. There were a lot of days, it took me actually, my first deal, I didn't even have a first deal probably until I was in this maybe 3.5 months. I
Hmm.
didn't even have a deal on the board, but then they started coming. And that fear of failure is a
Yep.
good motivator. Even though it hurts a little bit, you do have to have some money put away, or you got to continue to work the job, one or the other. But then once you make that commitment, like I can do this, then you'll do it. You'll do
And
it. This,
you got to keep telling yourself that you can do this, right? Because I don't know about you, but when I first got into it, I had big imposter syndrome. Have you ever heard that term?
no, I haven't. Mm-mm.
And it's like you feel like you're a fake or a fraud, right? Because you're
Oh,
like,
okay.
you get into real estate and you feel like everybody's talking about how much of an expert they are, and then you're like, yeah, I love real estate, you should work with me. But then like a deal comes and I'm on the phone, I'm like, Donna, how do you schedule a home inspection? I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I just felt like I was like a fake
Mhm.
to a lot of these people. But I
Sure.
think that's normal for a lot of people. I mean, any new thing you start, you're going to go
Well,
through that, right?
absolutely. You do need a go-to person,
Yep.
a good mentor, and I had a pretty nice person, agent that had been in the business a long time. And I remember one of my first listing opportunities. It wasn't my first listing, but one of my first listings. She was very nice, and she split it with me. She split it with me, and I thought, wow, that's really great. You
Yeah.
know, that's it.
Right.
And little things like that help, but you need that go-to person that you trust that's willing to invest the time in you.
Last question. What advice would you look or would you give to, we'll say, a consumer who's looking to buy or sell a house? What is like the very first most important thing that you would suggest to them?
A consumer looking to buy a home,
Yeah, we'll say looking to buy or sell.
oh, looking to buy or sell. Um, I think that cnyrealtor.com is a good place to go. To just learn a little bit more about real estate. I'm involved with the Greater Syracuse Association of Realtors, and go to so you could go to that website. Also, go to the website of um, another company or two. We've got several. I'm not saying, I hate to keep on gravitating to the big companies, but if you kind of think, well, gee, I like Howard Hanna, I like Hunt Real Estate, you can go to those websites, and you can actually look at the agents in an office very close to you. Look at their
Yeah.
profiles, and call one or two of them and interview them.
Yeah, I think we're in such an age of technology, especially with social media. They could literally just type your name in and find all your social media links,
Exactly.
and they're for sure gonna stalk you, right? Like you got to know. And guess what though? We're stalking you too. We're looking you up too.
Right, right. Or they can talk to their neighbors too.
Yeah, right.
Who did
Exactly.
you use? Word of mouth. Who did you use? Or they can even stop in a local office.
Hmm.
Stop
Yeah.
in and just say, I want to talk to somebody, with experience. But I think it's a full-time realtor is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Everybody has to start somewhere, but experience is important. And somebody that is committed to doing it full-time, I
Yeah.
think is important. Absolutely.
MariRae, this has been awesome. Can you believe a full hour flew by?
Um, I can't, but you're so easy to talk to, Cory.
Likewise,
It's
MariRae. You're
just
full of
a
class.
pleasure. It's just a pleasure. Just
Well,
a
thank
pleasure
you for
to
coming
talk
on
to
the
you.
podcast. I look forward to doing future deals with you. This is gonna be awesome.
Well, thank you. The
Yeah.
feeling is mutual. You're very detail oriented. Just a pleasure to work with. So professional, and it's really important that someone that you work with be very responsive, and you are. And
Yeah.
and
I try to
so
be.
so to anybody that watches this that needs a good young, smart, outgoing realtor, you definitely wouldn't go wrong with Cory.
Well, also, since she's plugging me, I will say if anybody watching or listening right now, I'll put MariRae's links in the bottom. So if you want to reach out to her, ask her questions, I'll have her website. If you want me to I could put your Facebook in social media. Whatever way is easier for you. You let me know.
However you do this normally,
All
that's
class, like I
that's
said.
that's fine.
MariRae, I appreciate you very much.
I appreciate you having me as your guest. It's been my pleasure, Cory. Thank you.